Welcome to Thrive, Transformative Strategies for the New Year, the CLA virtual conference poised to redefine your approach to success. Today, we unite under the banner of innovation, ready to forge new paths in personal and professional growth. Each speaker today brings unique insights to propel us forward. Get ready to explore innovative strategies that will enhance your growth journey in 2024.
Well, it's June 19th, 2005. I'm a company first sergeant in the United States Marine Corps, and I'm stationed in Fallujah, Iraq, with about 45 days left in country. My company is spread out amongst 3 different forward operating bases, and at about 8:30 in the morning on that day, all hell breaks loose. The insurgents decided to attack two of our 3 positions, and the fighting would ensue. After the initial skirmish, as a company, we went on the attack and we hunted down the enemy. When the smoke cleared, 4 or 5 hours later, 20 to 30 insurgents would have given their lives for their cause. But in the end, not one Marine or sailor within our company would lose their life. Like so many stories each of us have, that's just one story, one day in the story that we all have, one day in my story, and I own it. I own it with the good, I own it with the bad, and the ugly that comes with it. And that's what I want to talk to you today about. Today, I want to talk to you about owning your story and how important it is to own your story. Because when you own your story, you take full control of your life. So, why is owning your story so important? Well, there's actually 3 reasons that I specifically have come up with, and I call it the C3 effect of success. Now, these 3 things, the way I break it down is kind of simple, because these 3 things not only can you utilize to learn how to own your story, but once you start utilizing these 3 things, they also help you to develop your story. That's why I call it the C3 effect. And the first one in the C3 effect is clarity. Gaining clarity in everything that you do. When it comes to owning your story, it has to begin with clarity. You have to know exactly where you're going and why you want to get there. When we have clarity in ourselves, there's so many other things that come to light. When your world is clouded and your vision is clouded and you don't know what's the next thing you're going to do, there's no way for you to pick up a pen and start becoming the architect of your future. That's why you have to have clarity. And that's why it's so important, because clarity helps you make sense of the experiences that you have instead of asking the questions why. When you own your story, you understand who you are in that present moment. And we'll talk about being in the present a little bit later. But again, you have to have that clarity when it comes down to owning your story, because owning your story is about personal growth and empowerment. And you gain that personal growth and empowerment through understanding who you are despite your past experiences, your present circumstances, and the future challenges that you're going to have. And I have kind of a unique way to kind of paint the picture of why clarity is so important. And it's simply this. In the Marine Corps, when I came in way back in 1986, when we went to the rifle range, we were taught how to fire the weapon using the old style rifles that had the old size scopes on them. We didn't have magnifying scopes. We had what we called a rear sight aperture on our rifles. And in the areas of marksmanship, there are 3 things that you really have to deal with when you're trying to sight in on a target. You have your rear sight aperture, you have your front sight post, and then you have your target out in the distance. Now, I want you to imagine In terms of clarity, what do you believe you need to be focusing on the most? Most people would say, I need to focus in on the target. Well, in the Marine Corps, they taught us completely different. What we focused on our rifles was not the target. We focused on the clear tip of the front sight post. And we placed that clear tip in the center of a very blurry rear sight aperture. And what we realized and what they taught us was you can only focus on one thing at a time. At any given time, your eyes can only focus on one thing at a time. So looking through that blurry rear sight aperture and focusing on the clear tip of the front sight post, you will notice that the target that you are looking to hit is extremely blurry. And in life, that's what's going to happen. You have some things out there that you want to accomplish, some goals that you want to accomplish, but you don't know exactly how to get there. You know, that's because your future is a little bit blurry. But when you begin to own your story and live in the present, owning that one moment in time, that's when you begin to focus on the clear tip of that front sight post. And you can sight in, and when you relax your body, when you relax your mind, you take a deep breath, as we tell people to do in everyday life, you slightly squeeze the trigger, the round goes off, and you hit your target because you have clarity on that one thing instead of your mind being jumbled up amongst a whole bunch of other different things. And that's why clarity is so important, because a way to sum that up is clarity leads to focus. And as I said, focusing on that clear tip of the front sight post. So the question I have for you is, what is your clear sight tip? What are you going to focus on in order to begin owning your story? You can either be the author of your own story, or you can become a character in the story of someone else. The question is, you know, do you want to simply read the book, or do you want to write the book? Because every day we're writing a book. Every day we're writing a page in another chapter. And again, you have to ask yourself, are you going to take control of it? Or are you simply going to keep auditioning for a part in someone else's movie, in someone else's screenplay, instead of simply owning your story? And in order to do that, you have to have that clarity. The second thing that I want to talk about is, in the C3 effect, you also have to have confidence. You know, as a Marine for 30 years, one thing they instill in you, regardless of what job you may have in the Marine Corps, is whether you want it or not, you're going to gain some self-confidence. And in order to start owning your story in life, owning your story in business, owning your story in your marriage or your relationship, there's a certain confidence that you're going to need to have. And confidence plays a crucial part in owning your story, because it empowers you to embrace the journey that you are on without fear, without judgment, or without shame. Confidence gives us the strength to stand tall in our truth and share our true, authentic selves with other individuals. And it's that confidence that's going to lead other individuals to rally behind you when you need it, and to rally in front of you when you need to be pulled to a different level. So when you're looking at your confidence and you're trying to figure out how do you get your confidence, you know, I want you to focus on the journey. And the way that I want you to do that is, if you have a pen and paper, what I want you to do is take that pen and paper, pull out that pen, and at the top of the paper, I want you to write your name. Beside your name at the top of that paper, I want you to write the day that you were born. Then I want you to skip all the way down to the bottom of that page. And as crazy as this may sound, I want you to write the day of your demise. Now, I know you're probably asking yourself, and you're probably looking at me through the screen saying, I don't know when I'm going to leave this earth. And you're absolutely right. So if you don't know when you're going to leave this earth, the thing that you should be focusing on is the journey that you are presently on. So instead of writing, that day of your demise at the bottom of the page, simply write the end. And if you notice with that, it's pretty much the same thing that you're going to see on everyone's headstones when you walk into a cemetery. Here lies so-and-so, born on this day, died on this day. And in life, we celebrate the new births of children. We applaud the parents for giving birth to that child. When individuals pass away, we have celebration of life ceremonies. It's a solemn day, but we still celebrate it. And these seem to be the two dates that most people remember the most. But in all fairness to each and every person that's out there listening, what each and every one of us should be more concerned with is not the day that we were born, the day that we celebrate each and every year, the day that as children we look forward to receiving gifts. And of course, we're not going to be looking at, the day that someone actually passes away. I see it on Facebook over and over, how individuals go out there and they put a post up remembering someone on the day that they died, or they're remembering someone on their birthday who has already passed. And a lot of times, no one seems to mention all the things that happen in between along their journey. And again, that's where the confidence of owning your story comes into place. In order to begin to pick up that pen and to begin to write your own screenplay for the movie of your life, you need to have confidence. You need to have confidence that everything that you've been through, everything that you're currently going through right now, and everything that you're going to go through in the future is going to be okay. It may not feel like that in the middle of whatever it is happening. I look back to that day in June when I spoke about how the insurgents attacked us. That day went down in Marine Corps history and some books as a Father's Day massacre, because that day was Father's Day. The very next day, June 20th, it was my birthday. And there were times during those skirmishes on June 19th of 2005 that I didn't think that I was going to make it to the next day, which was going to be my birthday. But the thing that enabled me and propelled me through that day was the confidence that I had acquired by becoming and being a United States Marine. The confidence I had in the individuals that were to my left and to my right, and the confidence I had that I wasn't going to allow anyone else to write my story, that I was going to take control on that day, and it was going to be my actions that would either propel me through those battles or cause me to be unsuccessful. And again, it wasn't all just me. Everyone that we had there on that day had the same mindset because we drilled it in them every single day. We had every individual at the lowest level to the highest level be able to eternalize their confidence at any given moment. And that's what you have to do when you're on this thing, this journey we call life. You have to be able to tap into the confidence that you have in order for you to be able to control the narrative of your story. Because your story is simply that. It's yours to write. It's yours to dictate. It's yours to narrate to the individuals who are going to be hopefully telling your story for years and years to come. So again, the question that I ask in terms of confidence is, what are you going to do about the confidence you have? Because I assure you, when you really look at that blurry picture of what it is that you want to achieve in your life, it's probably blurry because you don't have the confidence in yourself to do the things that you know you need to do. You see, what I've realized in life is that I've never failed at anything that I've absolutely put my heart and soul into. And I assure you, when you begin to do that and have confidence in yourself and your abilities, then you won't fail either. You just have to get over that hurdle about being scared. And that leads us into the third aspect of the C3 effect of success and why it's so important. And that third aspect of the C3 effect is courage. We talked about the clarity you need to have. We spoke about the confidence that you need to have. That third piece is courage. Now, we all have a little fear in us about certain things in our lives. And if I go back again to, June 19th of 2005, I'm not going to sit here and try to tell anyone out there that through that entire ordeal that I wasn't afraid, because I absolutely was. And I know that all the men that we had out there on that day and everything that they were going through, they were absolutely afraid also. But courage is not being afraid. Courage is looking fear in its face and still going out there and doing the thing that you know you need to do. So I ask you, as I've asked you earlier, what are you going to do when that fear raises its eyebrow against you? When you're unsure of your next step, when you're scared to present your offer for your business to that suspecting customer or client, what are you going to do? You have to dig down deep, tap into that courage that you were born with. And I say born with because I want you to look back at when we were children. And I always like utilizing the analogy of going back to when we were children. Because if you really look at it, when you were a child, you really didn't have too many fears. The fears that you may have had were fears that you developed along your journey. But we were all born pretty much fearless. And I want you to get back to that. Get back to, jumping off of high altitudes or things, not even realizing the impact that it might have down below. That's courage. Or even when you know that there's a possibility that you can hurt yourself and you do it anyway, that takes courage. And that's part of that C3 effect that I want you to start looking at. Facing fear head on. Facing your challenges head on. Realizing that fear is just simply part of the equation. But when you have clarity, when you have confidence, the fears that you have are not going to matter, because on the tail end of that, you have the courage to do the things that you know you need to be doing. So how are you going to take all of these three things and combine them to start owning your story? Again, you have to become one with who you are as an individual. Start trying to realize, what were you put here to do? Not the job title that you hold, not the position that you hold, but what were you actually put here to do? And again, I challenge you, if you don't know the answer to that, go back to when you were a child. Think about the things that made you smile. Think about the things that made you happy. And for those that are in a space right now where you feel as if you were doing exactly what you were put here for, I can almost guarantee you that when you look back to the days of your childhood, somewhere in those memories, what you are doing now revealed itself to you when you were a child, and you probably didn't recognize it, or at the very least, you were pulled away from it by friends, family, the education system, the neighborhoods that you grew up in, and you got away from the very thing that you were put here to do. But now it's time for each and every person out there to pick up the pen, to put it to paper, and to start writing your own story. Start writing the story from this point on of who it is that you want to become, who it is that you want to be remembered as. Because once you put pen to paper, it presents and it takes on a life of its own. It's no different than when you open up one of your favorite books and you get so engulfed in the chapters that you can visualize everything that's going on as you read through the paper, as you read through the pages. So why not do that in your own story? Why not start visualizing as you're writing down on your piece of paper what's going to happen next? Because when you do that, you'll get clarity. You'll gain the confidence that you need, and you'll have the courage that you need in order to go and do the things that you know you need to be doing. Going back to the clarity piece, I want you to think about individuals that go on these fasts and why they go on fast. You know, I do them every now and again, and I haven't got past the 5-day fast. But what I've noticed, even in the 5-day fast, is when you clear your body of all the junk that you've been putting in it over the years in that 5-day period, your mind begins to get extremely clear and focused on the things that you want to do. So I can only imagine what goes through the minds of those individuals that go through the 21-day fast, the 30-day fast, and the 60-day fast, how much clarity they get in their purpose and who they are. So that's a tip for you. If you want to get clear on the things that you want to be clear on, and you want it to be crystallized in your, what I call your brain housing group, I suggest you take a fast. You know, and that fast could be, it could be not eating certain foods. It could be like myself, I go out and I do a juice fast for 3, 5, or sometimes 7 days. All right. It could be just weaning yourself off of something that you like to engage in on a daily basis, but now you have to step back. And because you step back and you stop feeding yourself in your mind that one particular thing, it opens your mind for clarity in other spaces. So as I begin to wrap this up, what I want you to go back and think about is that C3 effect that we all have the ability to start doing. Gaining the clarity that we need in order to hit the target on a regular basis, having the confidence to go out there and pursue any and everything that you want to pursue, and then having the courage to look fear in its face and still do everything that you need to do. If you need more information on, you know, how I can help you through that journey, please feel free to reach out to me.
Thank you for engaging with this session of Thrive. As we continue with our next speaker, remember the insights and strategies shared are steps towards your transformative journey this year. Stay connected for more empowering talks. The Connected Leaders Academy is committed to your ongoing journey of growth and excellence. Remember, this journey is just beginning. Let's keep the momentum going. Join our community at www.connectedleadersacademy.com.